Hi everyone, in this video we're gonna create this awesome newsletter card all in React with the magic of CSS, and we're gonna learn everything from a beginner perspective on how to build this awesome card with style components and CSS and a really cool awesome colors and UI, all that for you guys. So yes, clearly this is actually what we're gonna be building by the end of this video tutorial. So with all of these illustrations, the input in here where you can just put your email, stuff like that, the subscribe button, the text and everything goes inside of that with this awesome glass looking card with this background glassy looking card, and plus the illustration and the newsletter and everything. So, and yeah, voila. So this is pretty much what we're going to be creating by the end of this video tutorial. And yeah, so just hope you guys enjoyed it, and let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and get started. I already set up the project. I already created everything I need is cover of the Create React App project using the Create React App CLI. So we got everything in here. We got everything we need. The only dependency we're going to be needing throughout this project is actually styled components. So styled components just allows us to create CSS in JavaScript alongside React. So it's create us like React components ready-made we can just quickly use, right? So that's pretty much what we're going to be using. So to do yarn add style-components, just save that and you are ready to go. It's going to install the dependency for you. So yeah, that's basically all we're going to be needing for that particular part. Afterward, just go ahead and start the application, do yarn start, and you're ready to go. So you're going to get localhost 3000 and you get this newsletter application, just the text popping up on top of there, and everything would be fine. Now let's go ahead and put the app container, what we need first. So I'm going to create the app container and make sure to import style component from style components in there. Just put in the div and everything will be good. So just put 100% height or width, sorry, for the height is 100% as well. And you're going to just need display flex as well. So we're going to need just display flex. We're not going to be using anything else. So align items, I need everything to be vertically centered, as well as justified content to be horizontally centered as well. And we're going to be using the background color in here. So what we're going to be using is pretty much some a linear gradient background color. For that particular part, I'm going to be using the CSS gradient website to grab the background linear background. Sorry for that, guys. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be using. This cool website that you can paste in the hex values of the color, and it's going to do for you the perfect color matching. It's going to give you how tilted the color is going to be and the linear gradients and everything, all of that particular part. So I already did that. I already grabbed the color. So I got it right here. So I'm just copy pasting this one, got background color, and the basic background, I'm gonna have it clear orange into a bit more darker orange. So that's basically what we got from that particular part on the app container. So just replace that one in there, app container. And there you go. So we got the newsletter in the middle with this awesome linear gradients going on pretty great. So we got the first part done. Now let's go ahead and create the cards, and we want the card to be centered, right? Centered both horizontally and vertically, just right into the center. So for that, I'm gonna go inside the src, create components file or folder pretty much. I'm gonna just do create the newsletter component. So this one is going to be index.jsx. So that's basically what we're going to be creating for this one, which is the main entry point. So let's go ahead and import React as always, the first most important part of every single application. So I'm going to export cons, I'm going to export newsletter, I'm going to put props into this. So now the second part I'm going to be doing is actually put the card container. So I'm going to create the card container using style components. So for this one, the card container in here, I already got figure out the width and height. So I'm going to use 1100 for the width and something a bit 500 to the height. That will make it shine up on the top. So we got flex direction as well. Maybe some border radius to the card. So we want a little bit border radius to make it more like dynamic and modern looking. So that's exactly what we wanted with that particular part as well. So position as well, we want relative, because later on we're going to have some absolute positioned elements inside of this, like children of the card container. So this is where we want the things to go inside. Now for the border, how we want is actually 2 pixels white border, just to have this cliche look. Right, and the most important part of all of these, actually we want some blur, kind of like blurred gloss or glass looking background of the card at least. So for that, I'm gonna just like use the background color. I'm gonna put RGB, so 255, 255, 255 for both red, green, and blue, which is basically white. And I'm just gonna tweak out the opacity a little bit. I'm just gonna put something like 0.2 just to get a little bit rid of the opacity. And I'm gonna use this awesome CSS property, which is the background filter, which kind of allows us to apply a specific filter like we do with the filter property, which applies us filters like blur, brightness, contrast into the current elements. But this one, it doesn't apply to the elements and the children of that particular element. Instead, it does apply to only the background. Hence, it's actually called backdrop filter, right? So I want 10 pixels of that to have some background blurred out for me, and this awesome background kind of thingy. So here I'm exporting a function, my bad. So here just simply go ahead and return the card container, and this is going to be a card. So that's all we need. So going back in here, we can get rid of the newsletter and replace it with our elements, and that should make things go the right way. And voila, we got a really awesome card being like centered with this really awesome border radius, and the background is like way much better than I thought it would be, with this kind of like glass looking thingy and a little bit of blurriness and everything from that particular part. So yeah, looking so far so good, and I love it, absolutely. Now what we want to next to do for that particular newsletter card, so as you've seen in the intro, we want to split this into 2 separate parts, 2 sections. The right section is going to have like this book lover, kind of the guy standing alongside some bookshelf, picking up a book, reading, which just like makes things goes into or people or users pretty much thinking, oh, books, it's much more similar to newsletter, so it's just going to give them this look and feeling of a newsletter, something good. So that's where we'll have it from the right, and from the left we're going to have some details, some engaging text, some input where they can put the email and get the email pretty much sent right into there, right? So that's exactly what I want to do for that particular part and both of these components. So let's go ahead and jump right into this and create these 2 components. So inside of the same newsletter folder, I'm going to go ahead and create 2 of these components. First one is details.jsx. The second one, I'm going to have like site image.jsx. So this one is going to represent the site image. And I'm going to start off with this first. Okay, so this is actually the right section of everything. So where like the image is going to be in, we're going to also have some like linear gradients going on with the background linear gradients, so that should looking absolutely good. So I'm gonna have site image props, and I'm gonna have like site image container into this. So I'm gonna use style components, auto import for us, and voila. So for this one, because the image is going to be a little bit bigger and everything, so we want to have a max width into it. So I'm going to just like give it a slightly bigger than a 50%, like slightly bigger than the half, just because its image is going to make it look way much better. And also we're going to have some clip path going on into it. So this way it should look definitely better. For the flex box, I'm going to have flex as always. And also I want to align the image into the center, so both horizontal align and vertical align should do the job. Now we're going to also use flex 1. Why? Because if we go back into the card container in here, we're going to have two of these elements, the details and the site image, both inside of the card container. Hence, so we're going to have both of them splitting up the horizontal container into two separate particular parts that are having the same width and the same size. So therefore, we're going to use flex with a 1 in here to tell it that, oh, we want this side to take one portion, then the other side we also have like flex 1, so they both take 1, 1, which means the same portion, and that should make it, or they should make them fit together and taking exactly the half of the container. Okay, pretty cool. Also, I'm going to need some position relative for that, just to position the elements relatively to that particular parent element. Cool. And we're going to also use the CSS gradient here, which I already got, by the way. I'm going to use this kind of like magenta, darkish kind of magenta color, kind of like going a bit magenta, a bit to, I don't know, to the rose or, yeah, something like that. And it should look definitely good. I'm going to use this radial thing. I'm going to copy to the clipboard real quick, just pasting in the background for the linear gradients to look good. And voila, so let's go ahead and try to render this side image. So I'm gonna put image, I'm gonna go back. Okay, I'm not rendering that inside of here, so let me just take that. So side image, and there you go. So we got it from the left. We're not wanting from the left, we want it to go to the right. But as soon as we add the other container, this one is going to go right into the position as we want it to be, right? So therefore, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and add the details container real quick. So let's just do React from React. So I'm gonna export the props, and we're gonna have like the details container as well. So it's gonna have this pretty much the same attributes and CSS properties as the side image container. So I'm gonna use styled. All right, and so like for the details I said before, we're gonna be using the same thing. So the same width, same height. So I'm just gonna say it takes the full height as always. I'm going to do display flex, so for that, and flex direction to be column because we want a couple of text and stuff goes beneath each other, so that's obvious enough. And as it talks about, we have flex 1, so they take the same width, they split it correctly, and yeah, we want to align items to the center, so all the children to be center vertically and horizontally aligned. This way we can have them both, or have like all the content goes into the same line with the image and everything into that particular line instead of the card, which makes it way much better than just having different line heights between these elements of the card or children of the card pretty much. So yeah, let's go ahead and render out the details container, and I'm gonna have put details inside of that. Now before this one, we want details to come first, so it goes from the left to the right, and voila, so we got things going absolutely good already. We got the details container here, but the only flaw we see is actually this one is kind of like going outside of the container because it doesn't include a border radius indeed. So this one is not really that perfect shape, so we need just to fix it to include a border radius. Plus, if you've seen into the intro, the design, we want this image container, this like right-sided portion, just to have a little bit kind of angled div, kind of like diagonal. I'm not gonna say diagonal, but I'm just like a bit angled div just internally, or angled to the right, that goes inside. So this way it looks way much better, because right now it looks pretty boring. It's just like a classical thing, nothing really new or good. So this way it will make it definitely shine up to the best. So going back into the site image, and for this particular part I'm going to use the clip path CSS property. So this one it's kind of like a new CSS property, but right now for most of the browsers, so I'm going to say all the browsers are supported, fully supported. The Polygon as well is pretty supported, so you can use this freely. Just don't use this on Internet Explorer. Obviously, that one is definitely dead. But for the clip path, it's been like out for decent amount of time. So since a lot of browsers are supported, and yeah, it can work pretty well. So I'm going to use the Polygon. So the Polygon, this function is going to like tell it how to clip the actual container, how like which portion of the container to show and which portion of the container to hide. So this is exactly what it does in here, and you tell it just exactly which polygon you want. So you can like render a triangle polygon. So just say you only want to show the triangle portion of this particular container, or you want just to say like a star polygon, or anything kind of like that particular sense. And it's kind of like you need a little bit more tweaking, and it's not really practical just go ahead into it and just put the values in CSS. It's going to be really tough to know exactly what you want. There's luckily this awesome website, I don't know, Benephili or something, I don't know how to spell that correctly, but the point is actually you get this list of polygons from stars, frames, everything, and you can choose. Then you can tweak up the polygon in here, and lately you can just get the clip path with the polygon and all the values you got from that particular part. So we see whenever you tweak it out, we get the value updated and we got whatever we need. So this is exactly what I want, a little bit tilted to the right, to the inside, and yeah, I'm just gonna copy up this clip path. So you can play it with whatever you need, you can just copy it from there, and it will be a really awesome part. So we got the clip path. That should work. Now let's fix the border radius we talked about before in that particular sense, because remember the border radius, we need to match it with the current container, otherwise it would just like go on top of like the parent's border radius pretty much. So I'm gonna just do border top radius. I'm gonna use the same border radius as the parent, or as the background card, so 26 pixels, and also want like border bottom right radius and 26 pixels. Okay, so going back, we got two things. We got the border radius fix, plus we got this awesome clip path kind of thingy, and it's looking absolutely amazing already. The angled, it's just like making it look, you know, next thing and a modern kind of looking, and the card is just like perfectly aligned with this glass kind of colors and a little bit to the opacity in the background, just looking absolutely amazing already. So pretty cool. Let's go ahead and add the image inside of this like right portion already. So I'm gonna create another component. I'm gonna do styled.dev, and for this one I'm gonna create like put an image element inside of it. So for the width, just take an auto width to preserve the aspect ratio. So make sure to always use it this way to preserve the image per aspect ratio, and only choose the height. So for the height, I'm going to just take 100% of that particular parent, which is this one, the image. So this one I'm also going to have width to be auto, just to preserve the aspect ratio. Plus for the height, I'm just going to specify it myself. I'm going to use like a 30em or something. That should make it perfectly. So I'm gonna just do image. I'm gonna have some image inside of it. We don't need that. So let's go ahead and import our image from the assets. I'm gonna be naming it book lover image. So that's assets, SVG, book lover. Sweet. So just copy up this one, and that should make it perfectly aligned. So going back, and there you go. So the image is already being perfectly put into the perspective, into the center, and it's looking amazing. That's all I can say. It's perfect. Yeah, for all the sides, it's just going really well, and it's really perfect. And yeah, I love it. It just like matches the design exactly what we want to do. Pretty cool. So let's jump into the details container right now. which is we're going to have all the details like the text and the input and the button to subscribe to the newsletter and everything from that particular perspective, right? So jumping into the details now, and for the details, just go ahead and like start by putting basic stuff, or anyway, like first things first. So I'm gonna have like the inner container, which is gonna be the container that holds all the children, all the text inside of that. So I'm gonna have display flags. I'm gonna have like some flex direction to be column, because everything should come in a column way. And also I want to introduce some max width. I want to put like 80%. The reason behind I'm introducing a max width in here is because here we got some clip path. So if you notice, whenever we like applied the clip path, we got like the details now section is looking to the human eye. It's like larger than the right section. But in reality, behind the scenes in CSS, they are completely, separate, and they have the exact same size, as we know, because we split that perfectly using the flexbox kind of thingy. So in that particular part, it looks into the human eye. That's why I'm just like limiting this to take the full height, like width, just to get it into the center, a little bit to the right. So that would look perfectly matching with whatever happening to the right side in here and all the clip path thingy we did to the right portion. Okay, so that's why I'm applying that into there. Now let's go ahead and have the header, which is basically just a text. I'm gonna use H1 for the header. I'm gonna do a margin 10 pixels from top and bottom, 0 from left and right. So that should make it perfectly. For the color, I'm gonna use some like magenta color, because we want to match the same theme we got from this right side. So we want to have like the same color goes inside of that. And I'm just gonna copy paste this. I'm not gonna say it's super magenta, but it's dark bluish kind of magenta color. So that is looking so far so good, right? And for the font weight, I'm gonna have 700 for the font weight. Font size maybe 45 pixels. You could probably make that looking good already, right? And I don't think I need a margin because we got everything centered, so that should do the job perfectly for us. Now this is the header. Let's go ahead and add H3. This one is going to be named subheader. Color is going to be 000, and for this one I'm going to maybe do like a 24 pixels, just less than that. And maybe also for the margin, so we want margin to the top and bottom, like just leave a margin between the header, so that should make that work. And last but not least, we're gonna have text. So we're not gonna need a margin, and I'm gonna make this like 500 because it's way much less than that, and we may need like 20 pixels for that particular paragraph. So maybe that should do it. So inner container. So header. Maybe we can use some really catchy tags like hey, wait, and 3 dots. Then we maybe got like a subheader instead of that. So subscribe to our news letter. And last but is just like some engaging text that the customer or the user can engage with. They can just like read or gets motivated. Then after just like reading the text, they can enter the email and subscribe to the newsletter. And this is exactly your end goal, what you want from the end user to do. So basically just using a good text and putting a good text together in here is a really, really good chance to catch the attention of the user. So I got something catchy, I guess. Maybe I could use that right here. So let's just go ahead and take a look. And yeah, voila. So we got already a really cool looking detail. So we got hey wait, which is pretty catchy. They got subscribe to our newsletter. Then you got some catchy text. You will never miss our podcast, later news, etc. or newsletter, like weekly. I'm missing K in here. And yeah, I'm already a fan of this. I'm already liking this kind of newsletter design, and it's looking absolutely amazing already. So yeah, so far so good. Everything looking absolutely great in that particular sense. Now, the last thing we need to add into this details container is actually the input, where the user will be able to enter the email. Then inside, not going to say inside, just alongside, to the right, we're going to have this cliche button where he can click on that and subscribe to the newsletter after adding the email, right? So for that, we can go ahead and add that right here in between that. So I'm going to first do a form group, which is going to be a grouping of basically the form, right? So I'm going to have styled. We don't need an E for the group at the end, obviously. So for this one, I'm going to have a display flex, and we want the flex to be a row display, so I'm going to leave it by default, this one. Position relative, because later on the button is going to be absolutely positioned. You will have to like control it regarding this one. Maybe you can have 35 pixels for the height for the form group and for the import and everything. And probably, okay, maybe we're gonna like need some margin to the top of 1 EM, just like to split it from the P text there. Okay, now the second thing we're gonna be using is actually the email input. So style.input. So for this one, I'm gonna do outline none. We're not gonna be needing any border. Okay, so background color is gonna be pitch white. All of it is gonna be just like white, and it goes into the direction of having everything white because it matches our design really well. Maybe you can add some padding left, like 1.5 EM. Also some border radius. I don't know. You can just do 17 pixels probably. This will make it look, matches the design, like the overall design of the card and everything, because everything is pretty much like, has some rounded corners. So you have to mix and match the design. And font size, 20 pixels maybe. Also I can just go ahead and work on the placeholder. So I can put some color. I want a bit like a grayish color, right? So I can just choose this one just to go with this like cool grayish color for it. And for this one, I want pitch black color, right? So this way it could really be a cliche thingy. And last but not least, we want the height to take the full 100% of the height, which is basically just gonna take the full form group height, and voila, pretty cool. So we're gonna have like the form group. So okay, totally forgot about the name anyway. So the input group, I'm gonna have type of this text, and the placeholder is I'm just gonna use something like sample@email.com. Just like this is a bit better for a placeholder than just like a regular text. It will be a self-explanatory thing, so the user just looks at it and say, oh, that's an email. I want to enter an email. Okay, so the user experience is better just to use such a text here. And yeah, looking pretty great. The corners and everything. Yeah, probably right now we need the button just to the right side of the input, and we want the button just to match with the design of the input, so it looks like it's integrated inside of the input. It's just like inside of it. Okay, so that's exactly what we want for that particular case. So I'm gonna do subscribe. So button. I'm gonna use a button in that case. So what we can do, so position, I'm gonna have absolutes because we want this to be on top of the input. So always have absolute positioning for that case. So I'm gonna have display flags to align items. Maybe yes, maybe no. We will get into that in a second, because maybe we need to like align it, or it will do it for us perfectly. So also we need, like, from the right, you want to have -10 pixels on the right, because we want it to go to the right. The top, 0. We don't need any for the top. And so for the height, you want 100%, so it takes the full height, right? So for the border, we need none. For the outline, we need none as well. So we're fully aware of that. So for the color, we want FFF, like full white color for that. And the background color, I'm going to use the same colors I used in here, just to match the overall theme of the card. And that should look pretty great already. So maybe a font size, we can choose something like 20 pixels, just to make the button stand out and the text stand out, because we're having like full white text on it. And font weight, maybe it could go just like 500. So cursor pointer as well, that should make it look good. Also, you can add some hover effects into this. So maybe you could do a background dash color. Yeah, I can copy this one. So this one I can just like make it a bit darker, so the user can see the difference that we're doing it. Then we can include some transition, all 300 millisecond, ease in and out, and voila. So let's go and include that inside of here. It's gonna be a subscribe button. I'm gonna name it subscribe. Pretty self-explanatory. And yeah, we got the button, but it's not the button we anticipated to be, because if you take a look into this, it has like hard edges or corners, and like all the design in here has like rounded corners from the card, from the input in here, everything has rounded corners. So for the button, we have to match the same design in order to look, you know, mixed up with it, and it just like looks blending with this one. It looks the same design. It looks cool. So we have just to make the border radius for that, and we can just make this a bit better than you can probably anticipate to be. So we can do border bottom left radius. Okay, I don't want this one. So radius, I can do maybe 16 pixels for this one. So bottom right radius as well, 16 pixels. And border, for this one, we might need like the top right, okay? So we're gonna have the 16 pixels, and we're gonna leave the top left just like out of this box. I'm not gonna be just like doing you know, rounded corners. So this way you could make it special and can blend in inside of the input. So that should make it look definitely better. And also we might need some padding for this. So we're not gonna be like top and down padding, but we're gonna need like, you know, left and right padding for that particular part. And voila, so the bottom right now looks way much better than it was. We got the top left corner not really rounded, but everything else is looking pretty great. Now we have just to take this button and put it inside of the input, or we can increase the input padding right. So we can just do padding right on the email input of 3 AM, and voila. And it looks absolutely good. Even the width now is just like going to the last. It just like matches the text in here, so it goes the same width, like it takes like full width, and it has the full potential to expand. And whenever we go hover over that, like it goes really smooth, and just like, you know, it's pretty attractive to go with that. And also, if you want to put your email, just you can do mail.com and click subscribe, and you are ready to go. And you can just like put your email into that and subscribe into our newsletter. And voila, we got a really smooth, awesome card created on React with this like awesome CSS colors and some cool CSS tricks, clip paths, some cool SVGs and illustrations, all of that in just like a really short of period of time, and just like wanted to give you guys this kind of shot because I felt like you really love this type of video tutorials where I sit down, try to design stuff and just like get things from my imagination, put like illustrations together, do some animation using React, and many more stuff that happens behind the scenes for that. So yeah, that was it, guys, for that particular video tutorial. That was it for that particular design. Hope you guys like this newsletter. If I'm actually having a website to build in a couple of next days, in the upcoming days, and have to use a newsletter card, I would definitely go with this one because it just like looks absolutely awesome. So as always, guys, hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe, like, and you're gonna find the full source code of this one down in the description or my GitHub. So you can just go github.com/iPrimus and you can find all my repositories there. And why not? So hope you guys enjoyed it as well, and catch you all hopefully in the next ones.